Are you looking to start your first veggie garden, but maybe feel a little overwhelmed, a little unsure where to begin? Or heck, maybe you're going into your second year of growing a garden and you're just thinking, there's got to be a better way, right? Well, you are not alone. And in this video, we're going to explore why it's a good idea to use the resources at hand and not stray too far off course when you're planning your first garden. I'm also going to go over a few of the more common challenges that new gardeners face, and of course, tips on how to deal with them. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to introduce a free resource that should get your season started off on the right foot, or maybe even take your gardening to the next level the easy way. So let's dive in. Now let's be honest, starting your first veggie garden can be both exciting and a little intimidating. And one of the biggest challenges I see new gardeners face is knowing what to plant and how to plant it. So a few weeks ago, I actually did an entire video on exactly that. Because without a solid plan, you could end up with a little more zucchini than you know what to do with, and maybe not even enough tomatoes to make a single jar of salsa. So it's super important to start with a solid plan before you even start planting anything. Now another challenge new growers face is their soil quality. Fact of the matter is, if you don't have good soil, you're just not going to grow a lot of food no matter how much water or fertilizer you pour to it. That's why it's important to get a soil test before you get started planting. I'll try to remember to leave a link down in the description to the soil test that we use right here on the farm. You want to make sure you can test the pH, the nitrogen, the phosphorus, and the potassium, so you have a real good handle on what you got going on with your soil and you can amend it accordingly. I actually did a whole video on amending our soil, so if you want to know what we use here in the market garden, go ahead and watch that at any time. And utilizing this will help ensure that your plants have the nutrients that they need to thrive. Now one more challenge that new gardeners face, and it's a biggie, and that's pest and disease control. Now there is nothing more frustrating than watching your plants get eaten up by bugs or to succumb to fungal disease. And I should know, I've had to battle with both and I've had my trials, and it's no fun. Now the best way to avoid this is to practice good sanitation in the garden, but more importantly, choosing the right plants that are actually resistant to the pests and diseases in your area. And if you've been following my channel at all, you know I'm a huge advocate for companion planting, and I think that by far that is hands down the best way to actually handle this problem. Now, choosing the wrong location happens all the time. Sometimes it's not a necessity, but it's usually just a case of you don't know what you don't know. You may just not be aware of all of the things you need to consider when picking the right location for your garden. But it is really important to choose the right location for your garden, taking into consideration the hours of sunlight the specific area gets, the drainage, and the soil quality. You want to make sure to do your research and observe the garden site before planting. I actually have a detailed video on that as well, and that'll get you off on the right foot. All right, now the fifth mistake I see, and it's actually probably the biggest mistake I see that hurts new growers the most, and that's not planting at the right time. Planting at the wrong time can lead to poor growth and even crop failure, whether it's due to frost because you planted out too early, or not getting any harvest at all because you planted or started your seeds too late. Neither one of those are a good situation. You want to make sure to research the best time to plant your specific crops for your specific growing zone or your growing area and climate. So timing is everything. And the best way to avoid this is to have a proper crop plan with a seed starting, planting, and harvesting calendar, all done and planned out prior to even starting your first seeds. But it's not all doom and gloom, and there are solutions. So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed by all of this, don't be. You don't have to do it alone. There are plenty of experienced growers and resources out there to help guide you through the process to try to help you avoid some of the pitfalls. I really hope you guys are using this channel as a resource. That's why I do it. You know, this really isn't a farm vlogging channel. I really try to provide value and answer specific questions to help you guys grow more food, feed more people. Now for myself, years ago when I was starting out, I wanted to start a market garden. So I found the guys that were good at it and learned exactly how they did it. Because if there's one thing I've figured out in life, is that if somebody else can do it, so can I. Because anytime I've ever wanted to learn or do anything new in life, I found somebody who was successful at it, figured out exactly how and what they did, and did exactly that. That seems to be the quickest path to success that I've found for sure. So I read The Market Gardener by J.M. Fortier, The Urban Farmer by Curtis Stone, and probably one of my favorite, and hands down one of the best books on the subject, is The No-Till Organic Vegetable Farm. I wish this had been out when I started because it is fantastic. In my opinion, a must-read if you want to learn about organic no-till farming, at least the way that we do it. It's right there in the book. Because that book really is a great guide to starting and running a successful small-scale organic farm for sure. But actually one that I would recommend to anybody wanting to grow good, clean food. Daniel Mays did an excellent job writing that book, so I'll try to leave a link down in the description for that as well. You know, I also followed and still do a handful of YouTube channels like Jesse Frost over at the No-Till Growers, even if it's just for his dad jokes. But in all seriousness, he also has a new book out called The Living Soil Handbook, which I haven't read yet, but it's definitely at the top of my must-read list. And I still watch Connor Crickmore over at Never Sink Farms. He's always putting out great information, regardless of whether you're wanting to do a family garden or a market garden. Now, of course, you should also seek the advice at your local gardening centers, the farmers at your local farmers markets, and other local gardeners. They should have some really good insight on specifics in your local region. I like to think of starting your first veggie garden kind of like taking a trip or embarking on a journey. You've got a destination in mind, but you're not exactly sure of the path or the obstacles that may come in the way. Like hiking up a mountain, you kind of need the right tools, knowledge, and guidance to actually reach the summit. And just like a hiker needs a map, compass, and a guidebook, a new gardener needs resources, advice, and support. And I've just found that following the footsteps of those that have reached the summit can help you avoid some costly mistakes or stumbles along the way. And just like a hiker or a tourist who can definitely benefit from a guide who already knows the terrain, who can show them the hidden gems, a new gardener can definitely benefit consulting with somebody who's already been down that path, knows the planting, and the soil prep, how to deal with pests, and actually provide real recommendations and feedback. And that's where I think I can actually make the greatest impact. And that's where Project Feed Your Neighbor comes in. I'm excited to announce we're offering free 20-minute consults where we can discuss your goals, talk about a garden design, crop plan, and any garden advice I may have for your specific situation. It's not a sales call, just a one-on-one with you and me to help you get going this season, help you get started on the right foot. So you can find a link to that down in the description as well. So if you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed or lost on your journey, do not hesitate to seek out the resources or guidance you have at hand, whether it be through books or videos. I've got plenty of them right here on the channel for you, or a 20-minute consult. You definitely don't have to go it alone, and with the right tools and support, you can enjoy the view from the top of the tomato trellis, or the melon tunnel, or the hoop house.